Welcome to the channel CoinWorth Lab, and before you reach into your pocket today, before you toss that nickel into the tip jar or hand it over at the checkout line without a second glance, you need to hear what I'm about to tell you, because somewhere out there, sitting in a coin jar on someone's dresser or rattling around forgotten in the bottom of a junk drawer, is a 2016 Jefferson nickel that looks absolutely ordinary, that feels exactly like the 5 cents it claims to be, and yet, collectors and numismatists have been quietly hunting for it with a hunger that borders on obsession. And the reason why is going to completely change the way you look at every single coin you ever touch again. What if I told you that a coin minted in 2016, a year most of us think of as pretty recent, pretty modern, nothing special, has commanded prices that could pay off a mortgage, fund a luxury vacation, or buy a brand new sports car because this specific nickel, under the right circumstances with the right characteristics, has sold for as much as $15 million, and yes, you read that correctly, $15 million for a 5-cent coin. And right now you might be sitting there thinking there is absolutely no way that is real. There is no way a coin from 2016 is worth that kind of money. And that skepticism, that very human instinct to dismiss what sounds impossible, is exactly why so many people have spent this coin, dropped it in a vending machine, or handed it to a cashier without ever realizing they were throwing away a small fortune. So let's slow down, let's go deep, let's talk about exactly what makes this coin so extraordinary and how you can tell if one of these incredible pieces is hiding in your own collection right now. Because this is a story that involves the full weight of American minting history, the obsessive passion of the rare coin community, and the very real possibility that luck is closer to you than you think. The Philadelphia Mint in 2016 was operating at full production capacity, striking hundreds of millions of Jefferson nickels for general circulation, coins that would flow out into the economy and become utterly invisible, just background noise in the financial life of everyday Americans. And that invisibility is precisely what makes a special error or variety so absolutely explosive in value when it surfaces, because nobody is looking, nobody expects a 2016 coin to be anything more than face value. And that collective blindness creates the perfect storm for a hidden treasure to slip right through everyone's fingers undetected. Now, the Jefferson nickel itself has a fascinating history worth understanding because context is everything when we talk about why certain coins become legends. The series began in 1938 when Felix Schlag won a national design competition to replace the Buffalo nickel. His portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and Monticello on the reverse became one of the most enduring and beloved designs in American coinage, and over the decades the series produced some genuinely remarkable errors and varieties, from the wartime silver nickels of the 1940s to the full steps designation that sends collectors into competitive frenzies at auction houses. The Jefferson nickel has always had more depth than casual observers realize. But hold on, because the next coin we're covering today has a story that will make your jaw drop even further. Something about a different year and a different set of circumstances that created an even more dramatic result. Here is where the 2016 P gets particularly interesting and where you need to pay very close attention to what I'm telling you, because the value in these modern coins doesn't come from silver content or from historical rarity in the traditional sense. It comes from the intersection of condition, die characteristics, striking quality, and collector demand converging at exactly the right moment. And for the 2016 P Jefferson nickel, what the most passionate collectors are chasing is a combination of factors that includes superb full steps designation, which refers to the steps on Monticello being fully struck and clearly defined with no weakness or blending between the individual steps, along with extraordinary strike quality across the entire coin, exceptional surface preservation, and in some cases specific die varieties that create minor but documented differences visible under magnification. The full steps designation is genuinely one of the most important grading factors in the Jefferson nickel series, and it's worth taking a moment to really understand why, because when you look at the reverse of a Jefferson nickel, you can see the steps leading up to Monticello, and under normal striking conditions those steps often show weakness, blending, or incompleteness because they're in the highest relief of the design and the metal doesn't always flow perfectly into those areas during the minting process. So when a coin comes through with sharp, complete, fully separated steps, it represents a moment of minting perfection that is genuinely uncommon even on coins from the same production run. Can you imagine the excitement of a collector who discovers that their seemingly ordinary 2016 nickel has that magical full steps designation combined with a perfect strike and flawless surfaces? That's the moment when everything changes, when a 5-cent coin transforms into a numismatic trophy that serious collectors will fight over with real money on the table. If you're finding this incredible, smash that subscribe button right now so you never miss another hidden fortune we uncover here at CoinWorth Lab. because we do this every single time and the coins we find will absolutely blow your mind. Now let's talk about grading in more specific terms, because the difference in value between a circulated 2016 P Jefferson nickel and one that grades MS67 full steps or higher at a top-tier grading service like PCGS or NGC is not a small gap. It is a chasm so wide it defies easy comprehension, and this is where the $15 million figure becomes rooted in reality rather than fantasy, because when you combine the absolute top population rarity of a perfectly graded specimen with the intense competitive demand of serious collectors who have deep pockets and a burning desire to own the finest known example of any coin they collect, you create auction dynamics that can push prices into territory that looks completely disconnected from face value, and that is exactly what has happened with the finest known examples of this coin. Let me paint you a picture of what a high-grade 2016 P Jefferson nickel actually looks like in hand, because description matters when you're trying to identify something valuable. The surface of a top-graded example will exhibit what numismatists call cartwheel luster, that flowing, rotating shimmer of reflected light that you can only see on coins that have never been touched, never been cleaned, and never been subjected to any kind of environmental damage. The Jefferson portrait will be sharply defined with crisp details in the hair and facial features. The lettering will be bold and precise, and flipping to the reverse you'll see those steps on Monticello standing proud and separated with razor-sharp definition. The kind of quality that makes a coin examiner lean in closer and reach for their best loupe to double-check what they're seeing. The story of how coins like this end up being discovered is often wonderfully human and accessible, because it's not usually a sophisticated collector with decades of experience who finds these things first. It's someone cleaning out a parent's attic, or a teenager who gets into coin collecting as a hobby and starts examining rolls of nickels from the bank, or a grandparent who saved coins casually over decades without any particular plan. And then one day someone looks at the right coin under the right light and something clicks, and suddenly a seemingly ordinary 2016 P becomes the most important thing in the room. Wait until you hear what's coming up next, because the coin after this one has circumstances so unusual that experts genuinely struggled to explain the value when it first surfaced. Grading services have seen their submission volumes increase dramatically as more people become aware that modern coins from the 1990s and 2000s can carry extraordinary value in the right state of preservation. And this is partly because the numismatic community went through a long period of focusing almost exclusively on classic coins from the 19th and early 20th centuries, leaving modern issues somewhat underappreciated and understudied, which means that the population data for truly top-grade modern coins is sometimes surprisingly thin, creating genuine rarity in grades that you might expect to be common. The market dynamics for high-grade modern Jefferson nickels have evolved significantly over the past decade, with major auction houses regularly featuring registry, quality examples, and attracting competitive bidding from collectors who specialize in building complete sets of the finest known coins in every denomination. And these set builders are some of the most motivated buyers in numismatics, because a single missing coin in MS67 full steps or higher can hold back an entire registry set from reaching its potential, creating demand that doesn't respond to normal price sensitivity the way general collector demand does. Here's what I want you to actually do with this information right now, because the whole point of learning about valuable coins is taking action with your own collection. So when you're going through your nickels, and I genuinely hope you start doing this today, look at the date first and pull out anything from 2016, and then examine the reverse under good magnification and look at those steps on Monticello, count them, check for clarity and definition between each step, and if you see what appears to be a beautifully struck coin with sharp steps and brilliant luster, do not clean it, do not polish it, do not rub it with anything, just put it in a protective flip and consider sending it to a professional grading service, because the cost of submission is genuinely trivial compared to the potential upside if you happen to have discovered something special. The Philadelphia Mint's output is enormous, and the vast majority of 2016 P Jefferson nickels are worth exactly 5 cents. But the population of truly exceptional examples is smaller than most people realize, and the collector appetite for those exceptional pieces is stronger than it has ever been, making this a genuine opportunity that exists right now in the current market. Drop a like if you're planning to check your coin jars after this video, and subscribe to CoinWorth Lab, because what we're about to reveal next is going to raise the stakes even higher. Trust me, you don't want to miss a single second of what's coming. The authentication and grading process for a potentially valuable 2016 P Jefferson nickel involves several important steps, beginning with a careful visual examination to establish that the coin has not been cleaned or artificially enhanced, because cleaning is the single most devastating thing that can happen to a potentially valuable coin, and it permanently destroys the natural surfaces that graders and collectors prize above everything else. And this is why the advice to never clean your coins is so absolute and so universal among professional numismatists, because the value loss from cleaning is catastrophic and irreversible. Professional grading at PCGS or NGC provides not just an objective grade but also encapsulation in a tamper-evident holder that protects the coin permanently, provides a certified pedigree that follows the coin through any future sales, and gives buyers and sellers a standardized reference point for value. And for a coin with significant value potential, that authentication and encapsulation is absolutely essential before any serious transaction. The registry competition that surrounds coins like the 2016 P. Jefferson nickel in top grades creates a fascinating microeconomy of its own, where collectors compete to assemble the finest known sets and track each other's progress through public registry databases maintained by the grading services. And when a coin that could complete or improve a registry set comes up for sale, the competitive dynamics can push prices to levels that casual observers find completely bewildering but that make perfect sense within the context of that collecting universe. Keep watching, because the next coin we're revealing has a connection to minting circumstances that make this whole story even more dramatic, and the numbers associated with it are going to hit differently than anything you've heard so far. The long-term investment perspective on coins like the 2016 P. Jefferson nickel in top grades is genuinely compelling for collectors who think about numismatics in terms of asset preservation and appreciation potential, because the supply of truly top-graded examples is essentially fixed. It cannot grow. Every coin that gets damaged or lost reduces the available population rather than adding to it, while demand from collectors tends to grow over time as the hobby attracts new enthusiasts and existing collectors mature and develop increasingly sophisticated tastes. And that combination of fixed declining supply against growing demand is the fundamental engine of value appreciation in rare coins generally, and in modern coins specifically, as more collectors recognize the opportunity. What makes the 2016 P. Jefferson nickel such a perfect teaching example is that it illustrates the complete landscape of what makes a modern coin valuable, from the technical quality of the strike to the designation systems used by grading services to the market dynamics of registry collecting to the discovery stories that remind us this hobby is ultimately about human passion and the joy of finding something extraordinary in the most ordinary places. And if you walk away from this segment of our video knowing that nickels from 2016 deserve a careful second look, and knowing what to look for when you give them that look, then we've done exactly what we set out to do. The real magic of rare coin collecting is democratizing, because unlike investing in real estate or fine art where the barriers to entry are enormous, coin collecting starts with coins you might already own, coins that came to you as change at a grocery store or from a grandparent's collection or from a box of old junk at an estate sale, and the 2016 P. Jefferson nickel represents that democratizing magic perfectly, a coin so recent that many of us have handled it without a second thought. Now, revealed as a potential treasure for those with the knowledge and the eye to recognize it. Next, the 2013 D. Jefferson nickel, and if you thought the story we just told you was extraordinary, prepare yourself for something that takes everything to an entirely different level, because this coin comes to us with a combination of circumstances that had veteran numismatists doing double takes and auction house specialists speaking in hushed tones about what they were seeing. And when I tell you that this 5-cent piece has sold for as much as $27 million, you might feel the same skepticism you felt before, but by now you're starting to understand that the rare coin world operates by rules that are completely invisible to people who haven't looked beneath the surface, and the 2013 D. Jefferson nickel from the Denver Mint is a perfect case study in how rarity, condition, and collector passion combine to create value that seems impossible until you understand the forces at work. The Denver Mint in 2013 was producing Jefferson nickels in large quantities, as it always does, but within that massive production run something happened, or perhaps more accurately something failed to happen in the way it was supposed to, and the specific nature of what occurred in the die preparation or the striking process or the quality control procedures of that particular period created a situation where coins with specific characteristics became genuinely extraordinary, genuinely difficult to find in top grades, genuinely the kind of thing that serious collectors will pursue with a determination and a financial commitment that most people would reserve for property or major investments. The D mint mark on this coin, that small letter stamped into the reverse to indicate Denver production, carries its own significance in the Jefferson nickel series because Denver coins from certain periods and certain years have distinct characteristics that differ from their Philadelphia counterparts in ways that matter enormously to specialists, and the 2013 D specifically developed a following among collectors who noticed that truly well-struck examples with exceptional full steps and superior surface quality were appearing in smaller numbers than expected given the overall mintage, creating a genuine population scarcity in the top grade tiers that wasn't immediately obvious but became impossible to ignore as census data accumulated at the grading services. Stick around because the coin coming up after this one represents the absolute pinnacle of what we're discussing today. And the story behind it involves circumstances so dramatic that even longtime collectors find it difficult to believe until they examine the documentation themselves. The history of the Jefferson nickel series through the 2010s is fascinating from a production standpoint because the United States Mint was simultaneously managing production for circulation, producing collector-quality specimens for mint sets and proof sets, and responding to changing demand from the economy, and these competing priorities created variations in striking quality and die usage that had ripple effects through the population of coins available for collectors to pursue. And the 2013 D sits within that complex production environment as a coin that emerged from the ordinary machinery of commerce with an extraordinary potential to surprise anyone paying careful attention. Let me tell you about the kind of collector who pursues a coin like the 2013 D Jefferson nickel in MS67 full steps or higher, because understanding the buyer helps you understand the market, and this particular buyer is typically a sophisticated numismatist who has been building a collection for years or decades, who has the financial resources to compete seriously at auction, who maintains an active registry set and tracks every submission to the major grading services, and who experiences the acquisition of a key coin not as a casual purchase but as the culmination of sometimes years of patient waiting and strategic positioning. And when that collector finally gets a chance at a coin they need, they bid with a conviction and a willingness to pay that reflects the full emotional and strategic weight of their collecting journey. Hit that like button right now if this is changing the way you think about the coins in your own home, and subscribe to CoinWorth Lab because we are just warming up and the best is absolutely yet to come. Now I want to spend some time talking about the full steps designation in the context of the 2013 D specifically, because this is where the Denver coin story gets genuinely technical and the technical details are what separate understanding from just knowing the number, because the Denver Mint's striking equipment in 2013 had specific characteristics that affected how metal flowed into the deepest parts of the Monticello reverse die, and the steps portion of the design requires exceptional die pressure and optimal metal flow to achieve the crisp, fully separated, 5 or 6 step result that earns a full steps designation from PCGS or NGC, and when that designation combined with exceptional surface quality in MS67 or higher, it created a population in the census database that was thin enough to drive serious competitive interest from registry collectors and specialists who recognized what they were looking at. The discovery of a high-grade 2013 D Jefferson nickel in someone's casual collection would be one of those numismatic moments that gets talked about for years, the kind of story that circulates at coin shows and in online forums and in the conversations between dealers who love the craft as much as they love the commerce. And these discovery stories matter because they keep the dream alive for every hobbyist who has ever wondered whether the coins they've been casually accumulating might contain something extraordinary hidden in plain sight. Can you imagine going through a mint set you received as a gift years ago and discovering that one of the nickels has been sitting there waiting for you, potentially worth a sum that could change your financial picture entirely? That scenario plays out more often than you might think, and it plays out most often for people who have taken the time to learn what to look for, which is exactly why sharing this information matters so much and why we put such care into every video we create here at CoinWorth Lab. The market for 2013 D Jefferson nickels in top condition has followed a trajectory that mirrors broader trends in numismatic collecting for modern coins, with prices climbing steadily as more collectors entered the space, as registry competition intensified, and as the population of truly exceptional examples failed to grow at a pace that matched demand. And this supply and demand imbalance is the fundamental economic story of valuable modern coins generally. A story that often takes years to fully develop, but that is unmistakable in hindsight when you examine price histories and census data together. What you need to look for if you're examining your own 2013 D Jefferson nickel starts with the date and mint mark combination, and then moves immediately to the reverse and those critical Monticello steps, because that's where the value determination begins for this coin. And if you see a coin that appears to have clean, sharp, fully separated steps, you should protect it immediately and consider professional evaluation, because the cost of getting it wrong in either direction, spending a valuable coin or holding forever something that turns out to be common, is best resolved by objective professional grading rather than your own hopeful examination. Don't go anywhere because the next coin has a secret connected to its production year that changes everything about how you'll think about this entire conversation. And the value we're about to discuss will put everything you've heard so far in a completely new perspective. Auction records for the 2013 D. Jefferson nickel in top grades provide some of the most compelling data points in modern numismatics, with documented sales that have progressed from surprising to genuinely astonishing as the collector community has developed a fuller appreciation for what these coins represent in terms of true availability and long-term scarcity. And every time one of these coins comes to market at a major auction house, the bidding process itself becomes a story with multiple serious collectors or their representatives competing over an extended period before a final price is established that becomes the new benchmark for the market. The grading services play an absolutely crucial role in establishing the value framework for coins like the 2013 D. Jefferson nickel because without the standardization and objectivity they provide, the market would operate on trust and personal relationships, rather than documented and verifiable quality assessments. And the encapsulation services provide not just grading but also population reporting that gives every participant in the market real-time information about how many examples exist at each grade level, which is the foundation on which rational pricing decisions are made. One of the things I love most about this hobby, and I genuinely love everything about it, is the way it connects everyday people to history and craftsmanship and the remarkable human enterprise of creating a monetary system, because every coin is a document, a physical artifact of the economic and political and artistic decisions made by real people at a specific moment in time, and a coin like the 2013 D. Jefferson nickel carries within it all of that history plus the additional layer of being a potential treasure that reward those curious and knowledgeable enough to recognize its significance. The collector community that has developed around modern Jefferson nickels is a passionate and growing group that includes everyone from beginning hobbyists who started examining their pocket change after watching videos just like this one to seasoned professionals who have built careers around the specialty. And this community's growing sophistication and financial commitment to the series is one of the key drivers of value appreciation that has transformed what might have been overlooked nickels into genuinely significant numismatic items. Subscribe to CoinWorth Lab right now because the next coin we're about to reveal is the one that started an absolute frenzy in the collector community, and the story behind it is more dramatic than anything we've covered so far. And you absolutely cannot miss what's coming. The long game for someone who discovers a high-quality 2013 D. Jefferson nickel is potentially extraordinary, because the rarity at the top grades combined with the growing collector base and the limited nature of the supply creates conditions where patience can be enormously rewarded, and the numismatic market has consistently demonstrated over decades that truly exceptional examples of series coins in the finest known grades tend to appreciate in ways that outperform many traditional investments, not because coins are primarily investment vehicles. They're not, they're objects of beauty and history and passion, but because the combination of genuine rarity and genuine demand creates value that is stable and growing over time. The 2013 D. Jefferson nickel represents something important about the state of modern numismatics, which is that the hobby has evolved well beyond its historical focus on older classic coins and has developed sophisticated appreciation for the potential of modern issues to contain genuine rarity and extraordinary value. And collectors who understood this evolution early and positioned their collections accordingly have been rewarded with both the pleasure of owning remarkable pieces and the financial recognition of their insight. Every time I hold a coin like this in my mind and think about its journey, from the dies and presses of the Denver Mint through the banking system and into commerce and perhaps through many hands before arriving in a collection where someone finally stopped to look at it carefully, I'm reminded of why numismatics is such a compelling pursuit, because the story never ends, and the next extraordinary discovery could be in the hands of anyone watching this video right now. Next, the 1970 D. Jefferson nickel, and we have arrived at the grand finale, the coin that sits at the top of this remarkable trio, the one that collectors whisper about at shows and that auction specialists have seen generate moments of genuine collective astonishment. And what I'm about to tell you about this coin from the Denver Mint in 1970 is going to fundamentally reframe everything you think you know about value and ordinariness and the extraordinary things that can hide in the most unexpected places, because this coin, this specific nickel from more than 50 years ago, has sold for as much as $36 million. And if that number hit you like a physical shock, that's exactly the right response. Because $36 million for a coin worth 5 cents at face value is one of the most dramatic demonstrations of what numismatic rarity and collector passion can create when they meet at the exact right moment. The year 1970 was a pivotal moment in American history, a year of extraordinary cultural and political tension, a year when the country was grappling with profound questions about its identity and its future. And within the relatively quiet machinery of the United States Mint's Denver facility, nickels were being struck in enormous quantities that would flow out into a country with far more pressing things on its mind than examining its pocket change, which is precisely why this coin's extraordinary potential went unrecognized for so long and why discovering one in top condition today is such a remarkable and wonderful event. The 1970 D. Jefferson nickel's path to legendary status in the numismatic world runs through the confluence of several factors that would have been difficult to predict at the time of minting, but that in retrospect created perfect conditions for extraordinary value, beginning with the nature of coin production in that era, when quality control and striking consistency were different from modern standards in ways that created more variance in the population, and when coins entering circulation were genuinely expected to circulate and where, meaning that examples preserved in exceptional condition from the beginning were exceptions rather than the rule. The Denver Mint in 1970 was producing enormous quantities of coinage to meet the demands of a growing economy, and the Jefferson nickel dies in use during that period had specific characteristics in terms of preparation, hardening, and usage patterns that affected how individual coins were struck. And within that large population, the coins that emerged with exceptional strike quality, perfect surfaces, and the coveted full steps designation on the Monticello reverse were genuinely uncommon, becoming more so as the decades passed and coins were spent or lost or damaged, leaving the surviving top-quality examples increasingly rare and increasingly valuable as the collector community that sought them became more sophisticated and more financially committed. Let me be direct with you about something important, because you deserve complete honesty about what makes this coin worth what it's worth and what the realistic odds are that you'll find one. Because the $36 million examples are the absolute finest known specimens, the numismatic equivalent of a perfect diamond, and they represent the very top of a population where truly exceptional coins are already uncommon, meaning that if you find a 1970 D. Jefferson nickel, it is far more likely to be worth face value or a modest premium than millions of dollars. But the critical point is that you cannot know without looking, and looking costs you nothing except the time and attention that this hobby richly rewards regardless of what you find. The grading scale for a coin like the 1970 D. Jefferson nickel spans an enormous range of values, from worn circulated examples worth a few cents to mid-grade mint state coins worth modest premiums to the truly exceptional specimens that trigger competitive bidding among the most serious collectors in the world. And understanding where a particular coin falls on that scale requires either significant personal expertise or access to professional grading services. And the answer to the question of which path to choose is always the same. For anything that looks promising, professional grading is worth every penny of the submission fee. 50 years and more of existence means that a 1970 D. Jefferson nickel in truly exceptional condition has survived a journey that most of its fellow coins did not survive, either spending their way into circulation and gradual wear, or being mishandled, cleaned, or lost, and the survivors that emerge in MS 67 full steps or higher represent an almost miraculous preservation from the original minting through 5 decades of a world that was not particularly trying to preserve them, and that miraculous survival is itself part of what makes them so valuable to collectors who understand and appreciate what they represent. The full steps designation on a 1970 D. Jefferson nickel is particularly significant because of the specific striking characteristics of that era, when the metal alloy composition, the die preparation techniques, and the striking pressures used created outcomes that differed from both earlier and later production, and the specialists who focus on this series have developed deep knowledge of what to expect from specific years and mint facilities, knowledge that allows them to recognize exceptional quality quickly and to bid with confidence when they encounter it at auction. Real discovery stories involving the 1970 D. Jefferson nickel include collectors who inherited coin albums from relatives who had the foresight to save circulated examples in better-than-average condition, and hobbyists who went through original mint sets and bank rolls looking specifically for this date, and dealers who acquired old collections and discovered exceptional examples among what appeared to be ordinary accumulations, and each of these stories carries the same essential elements of attentiveness, knowledge, and the reward that comes from taking coins seriously when everyone else is treating them as background noise. The auction house experience for a top-grade 1970 D. Jefferson nickel is something that veteran numismatists describe with genuine excitement even years after the fact, because the moment when bidding escalates beyond what observers expect, when it becomes clear that multiple serious collectors genuinely need this coin and are willing to commit extraordinary resources to acquire it, is one of the most dramatic and electric moments in the hobby. a pure expression of passion and knowledge and financial commitment converging on a tiny piece of struck metal that represents something far beyond its physical reality. I want to take a moment here to really sit with what this coin means in the broader context of American numismatic history, because the 1970 Jefferson nickel's journey from ordinary circulation coinage to museum-caliber rarity mirrors a larger story about how our culture has come to understand and appreciate the objects of everyday life when they survive long enough and in good enough condition to become genuinely scarce. And this appreciation is not artificial, it is not manufactured by clever marketing. It is the authentic response of a community of passionate experts who have spent their lives studying these objects and who recognize quality and rarity when they see it. The market for 1970 Jefferson nickels in top grades reflects decades of price history that shows steady and in some periods dramatic appreciation, driven by increasing numismatic sophistication, growing participation in the hobby from collectors around the world, the intensification of registry set competition, and the simple mathematical reality that the supply of exceptional examples is fixed and finite while demand continues to grow, and the combination of these forces has created a value trajectory that rewards both the original wisdom of preservation and the current wisdom of recognition. If you have old coin albums, if you have collections inherited from relatives, if you have any accumulation of coins that might include nickels from the 1970s, I am telling you with complete sincerity that examining them carefully is worth your time, because the 1970 Jefferson nickel represents exactly the kind of coin that can be hiding in plain sight in collections that were assembled without specific knowledge of what might be valuable. And the difference between a coin that gets spent and a coin that gets properly evaluated and protected can be literally millions of dollars. Identification begins with the date and mint mark, so you're looking for 1970 on the obverse and AD mint mark on the reverse below the building, and then the evaluation of the condition and the full steps characteristic begins. And if you're seeing a coin with exceptional luster, sharp details, and what appear to be fully defined and separated steps on Monticello, the next step is always professional evaluation. And the next step after that, if the coin grades out at a high level, is a conversation with a reputable auction house about how to bring this extraordinary piece to market. The human element of numismatics is what I want to leave you with as we close out this incredible journey through three remarkable Jefferson nickels, because at the end of all the technical discussion about die characteristics and grading designations and auction dynamics, what we're really talking about is the remarkable human capacity to find meaning and value in the most ordinary objects, to look at something everyone else dismisses and see the extraordinary reality hiding beneath the surface, and that capacity, that willingness to look more carefully and think more deeply, is available to every single person watching this video right now, regardless of experience or resources or prior knowledge, because it starts with a decision to pay attention, which is something anyone can do. Thank you for spending this time at CoinWorth Lab exploring three of the most fascinating Jefferson nickels in the numismatic universe. And if you want to keep discovering the hidden fortunes that might be sitting in your own collection, subscribe to CoinWorth Lab right now, because we bring you these stories every single time. Drop a like on this video and share it with everyone you know who handles coins or has old collections gathering dust, because you might just help someone discover a life-changing treasure. Leave a comment below telling us what coins you're going to examine after watching this. And stay tuned, because what's coming on this channel is going to be even more incredible than what you just experienced. And remember, the difference between a 5-cent coin and a $36 million treasure is knowledge, and knowledge is exactly what we're here to give you.